Knowing shortcuts won't make you a better video editor, but knowing shortcuts will make you a faster video editor, which will allow you to try more things in the same amount of time, which in turn will make you a better video editor. That being said, here are the shortcuts I use most often in Adobe Premiere. First off, I'm going to go through all the hotkeys. The less time you spend clicking on the different icons and the different buttons will really speed up your process. Straight out the gate, I and O, in and out. In and out can be used for a multitude of different ways. For seeing how long the clip is, for in and out in footage, for a select, for exporting as well, if you don't want to export your full timeline, if you want to break it up into different sections, I, O. I for in, O for out. Plus and minus is to zoom in or zoom out. This works in the bins as well as it works in your timeline to bigger it up. N is for nudge, and this tool allows you to change the position of a cut, simultaneously lengthening and shortening two tracks that are beside each other on the timeline. This is particularly efficient when you're editing a multicam, if you really want to nail the exact moment when to change from one camera angle to the other. C is the cut tool. Very straightforward. C gives you that blade, you can just cut where you need it. If you hold Shift and C, it'll cut every track, including the audio tracks as well. V is for the cursor. This is probably one of the ones used most often. Just back to zero basically. A is the arrow tool. This will select all the tracks afterwards. If you hold Shift and A, it'll select all the tracks on that line. This is really helpful if you have clips on the same track that all have the same color grade. So if you have different cameras shooting the same thing, if you put all the same cameras on the same track, then when you've matched them all, you can just copy and paste to that track across the way. It'll apply to all the clips on that track. Y, if you've got the length of the clip correct, but you haven't done the precise selection of it. So you click the Y tool, hover in the middle, click and drag it left to right. And this will leave the track the same size, the select of the video or audio the same size, but it will move a few frames either side depending on how much. It'll also give you a preview in the window of what the first frame and the last frame will be. Similar to the nudge tool, this will save you in having to reduce the size of the clip, dragging it and then extending it. If you have the clip that's the right length and maybe there's like a bit of camera shake either side, you can just move it within the same select size. I don't use it that often, but it's good to know, good to have in the back pocket. In the timeline, if you want to know the length of a select, you just put the cursor over it, and if you press the X tool, just the X tool on its own, it'll give you an in and out, and then this will tell you how long that clip is. I use it for if I want different selects to be the same length, so I can quickly, instead of going to the beginning and the end of it and going in and out, it's just another shortcut within a shortcut of the in and out, just the X tool. The toggle button. This is really good if you're working on your laptop and you've got a confined amount of space. Go over each different panel. If you hit the toggle tool, it'll make it full screen, and then toggle again to send it back to where it was. Now we'll get into the commands. So the obvious ones, Command C, Command V, copy and paste, but then Command X is cut. This can be used in conjunction with the X on its own, not the Command X, just X for the select in and out, or you can do in and out. And then once you've nothing else selected, if you hit Command X, it'll cut into the timeline. It won't take the whole track, it'll just take that section of the track that you've selected, and then you can paste it wherever you need it. Command Z, probably one of the most used commands, undo, but then Command Shift Z is redo, also quite helpful. This one is a very good habit to have, Command S, because Premiere does go through periods of cancelling on its own, just quitting. Command R is if you want to change the speed of a clip. So I shoot all my B-roll in 50 frames a second and then slow it down to 25. So Command R, 50%. This also has a nice little feature in it that you can click reverse speed. So if you want something to happen backwards, if somebody's putting something into something and you want them to appear to be taking something out, just put it in reverse. Command T, this will add a title track onto the timeline. Command L, this is really good. This links media. So if you've got multiple cameras, like in a multicam, Command L will link all them together. Also, if you have the audio linked to the video track, if you go Command L, it will unlink it. In a multicam situation, if you have multiple audio tracks all layered on top of each other. And when you have them all synced correctly, if you hit Command L, it'll link them all. If you perform a cut, it'll apply it to all the tracks below it instead of having to do each one at a time. Command M. So when you're finished your edit and ready to export, Command M will open up the export windows. Here's a few extra tips. These aren't keyboard shortcuts, but these are a few little features in Premiere that are really helpful. Synchronize. This will synchronize your clips using the audio track as a reference. Doesn't always get it right, but it can be really helpful if you've got a multicam situation, especially if you're doing music videos and you've captured the track again and again and again. You can just pop them all on top of each other and synchronize. I'll put them all together. Scene edit detection. When I go to make a show reel, I'll export all the selects of projects that I've previously done, and I'll export that as a ProRes 422 in a flat color profile. So then you just have one long track. When you drop that into your timeline, right click and go down to scene edit detection, and this will detect everywhere that there's a cut in the footage. So then you'll have all your selects laid out for you. Invisible tracks. So sometimes I'll turn off a track if I'm unsure about a select. It's handy because you can put a B-roll clip in this track and drag it in and out of the track to see if you like that select in the position or not. I'll often leave unused clips in this track so I have them on hand easily. Or also if I'm doing interviews while I'm going along, if people are talking about a similar subject, I'll go Command T, bring up a text box and list the topics that the interviewees are talking about. Then when I've watched all the interviews, in the text panel I can see similar topics of conversation, and when I click on that topic, it'll bring me to their position in the timeline. Duplicate your sequences. This one is a lifesaver and a game changer, and I really wish I had known about this sooner. So I'll actually create any number of sequences, and by the time I actually send the edit for a review, it's usually by about sequence number 4 or number 5. So what I'll do is I'll have all the interviews, they'll have their own sequence per person. So like whoever, Tom, Dick and Harry, each one has their own individual. I'll put that down, then I'll duplicate that straight away, and then I'll start to chop it up, and then I'll duplicate that, and it's just duplication after duplication. So then if later down the line they're like, oh, remember when he talked about such and such, if I thought it wasn't relevant to have that in the edit the first time, I can easily go back to one of the first or second iteration on and be able to find that point, and I can put that in the edit. Also with the B-roll, I do all my B-roll selects. That it just saves so much time. If you go through all your tracks, do all your selects onto a B-roll track, and like I said, at the end of the project I export this so then I can use it in the future. I already have all my selects done of the B-roll. Once I've done all the B-roll selects and they're all slowed down, I'll duplicate that. So with 002, every time I use a B-roll clip for the edit, I'll raise it up to track 2, so then I know I've already used that. So then I can see which ones I've left to use. It just saves so much time, because at the end of a project there's always like a few bits where you're like, I just need 1 or 2 clips, and you'll end up having to go through everything again. This just really speeds up the process. It may seem longer at the beginning, but it speeds up the process in the long run. Also, every time you send off an edit for review to the client, when they send their feedback, duplicate the sequence. So then if a few revisions later, they're like, oh, remember a few ones back when you had such and such a clip? You can go straight to that timeline instead of being like, oh, well, that's deleted now, I'll have to redo that edit. Redoing an edit is just so demoralizing because you've already done the work. It just feels like such a chore. If you need to go back into a folder, instead of it all just being listed of the titles of all the different tracks, if you click the picture icon, it'll put up a thumbnail of each, and you can actually scrub through them. So if there's a specific shot that you're looking for, it's just a quicker way of trying to find it. The picture and the audio icon in the source window. So if you click this, it'll take you to whichever one you want. If you have a clapperboard, click the audio icon, and where you see like a very small spike, that's where the clapperboard is. It really speeds up the process of trying to get your start points for the clapperboard. Also, if you want to just drag down the audio, you click this and pull it down. If you want to pull both, go back to the picture window, click on the picture, drag it down, it'll drag the picture and the audio. And then if you want to just drag the picture, just drag the picture icon down into the timeline. So these are the shortcuts that I use most often, and they really speed up the whole editing process. And like I said, knowing your shortcuts won't make you a better editor, but knowing your shortcuts will make you a quicker editor, which will allow you to try more things in the same amount of time, which will in turn make you a better editor. So if you like this tutorial, please subscribe to the channel. I'm at 789 subscribers. I've qualified for the first round of the YouTube partnership program, and I have till December to get 900 hours and 210 subscribers. So if you could subscribe to this channel, it would really help. And as always, thanks for coming.